A new you begins when the old you stops making your decisions. Stop acting like the person who stays trapped by the same fears, the same habits, and the same excuses. Start making decisions like someone who has already become the person you've always wanted to be. Think about it for a moment. If you woke up tomorrow as the exact person you've always dreamed of becoming, what would you do differently? How would you face your problems? What would you stop tolerating? Which decisions would you finally have the courage to make? There's a hidden power in that shift in perspective, because every transformation begins long before the results appear. It begins with your identity. When you change the way you act, you change the way you think. When you change the way you think, you change the choices you make. And those choices are what build a completely different life. Anyone who keeps living as the person they were yesterday will inevitably end up with the same tomorrow. But the moment you decide to act like the person you want to become, you begin creating a future that once seemed impossible. Today, that's exactly what this video is about. Building a new version of yourself. You'll discover how small changes in your attitude can transform your mindset, strengthen your character, and completely revolutionize your life. And the first change begins right now. Write this in the comments. Today, a new me is born, especially if you hardly ever leave comments, because this could be the first conscious decision made by the person you've chosen to become. Every great transformation begins when someone stops waiting for change and decides to become the change. Lesson 1. Become the person you were born to be. You were not born to grow only halfway. You are not just the professional who goes to work, nor only the role you play at home. You are a living union of body, mind, and spirit. And when one of those parts is neglected, everything else begins to lose its strength. Some people achieve everything they once dreamed of, yet still feel empty inside. Some collect outward victories, yet live in a silent battle with themselves. And some give love and care to everyone around them, except to their own soul. That is the most common mistake people make when they seek personal growth, believing that growth is only about reaching goals instead of becoming whole. Because true progress is not about speed, it is about balance. It is not about having more, it is about becoming more. The Stoics called this inner harmony, the state in which every part of you works together and the flow of life moves forward without unnecessary friction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee," because the well-being of one part always depends on the health of the whole. Growing in every area of life means learning to align your strengths, not sacrifice them. It means caring for your body so you have energy, your mind so you have direction, and your spirit so you have purpose. It means understanding that there is no contradiction between ambition and serenity. When you become someone who pursues success with purpose and peace with discipline. Harmony begins with small choices, going to bed with a peaceful mind after a productive day, taking time to breathe between one achievement and the next, being grateful for the pauses just as much as for the victories. You can prosper, grow, and achieve great things, but never allow yourself to do so at the expense of who you are. The world is already full of people who made it to the top, only to lose themselves along the way. Growing completely means walking the path of success without losing your ability to feel, without losing your ability to love, without losing your ability to truly live. Life calls for wholeness, an alignment between what you do, what you think, and what you feel. The emptiness so many people experience does not come from a lack of results. It comes from a lack of alignment between their inner world and their outer life. You do not have to choose between success and peace, between reason and emotion, between progress and rest. You simply need to learn how to move through life as a whole person. When what you build on the outside reflects what you cultivate on the inside, everything becomes lighter, more authentic, more genuine. Growing in every direction means becoming someone who inspires through balance, who wins without becoming hardened, who keeps moving forward without losing themselves, who succeeds without losing the ability to feel. It means understanding that prosperity is not about chasing more things. It is about becoming a better person in everything you do. Write this in the comments. I choose to grow completely, because true growth is never partial, it is holistic. And when every part of who you are moves forward together, progress stops feeling like a struggle and becomes a life of fulfillment. Lesson 2. Start putting yourself first. No real change can happen if you spend your life exhausted trying to carry the weight of the world while forgetting to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is responsibility. Because you cannot give what you do not have, and nothing thrives in neglected soil. Think of yourself as a garden. If you do not pull the weeds, if you do not water it, if you do not care for it, the flowers do not suddenly die, they simply stop growing. And what was meant to bloom into something beautiful ends up merely surviving. That is exactly what happens when you stop nourishing yourself from within. The Stoics taught that a person's greatest duty is to themselves, to care for the mind, protect the soul, and cultivate virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The mind needs daily care, just as the body needs food." Yet most people live as if they are trying to keep running on an empty tank, hoping the world will understand the exhaustion that they themselves continue to ignore. Self-care is an act of courage. It is choosing to pause for a moment when everything around you is pushing you to keep going. It is looking inward and saying, "I need me too." It is realizing that you are always ready to rescue everyone else, but when it comes to yourself, you postpone, delay, and stay silent. It is when your body cries out for rest, yet you keep pushing forward when your heart begs for a pause, yet you force yourself to stay strong all the time. It is understanding that taking care of yourself also means saying no. It means closing the door for a few hours, choosing silence over the noise of endless demands. Because a mind without rest becomes confused, a body without recovery grows heavy, and a heart without silence becomes restless. Making time for yourself is an act of rebuilding. It is enjoying a cup of coffee in peace, taking a slow walk, having an honest conversation with yourself without judgment. It is the moment when you find yourself again. It is when you begin to heal old wounds, reframe experiences that have remained trapped in the past, and make room for what is ready to bloom once again. Sometimes the pain is no longer as intense, but it still takes up space within you. Taking care of yourself means allowing the new to have somewhere to grow. It is remembering that no one can heal you if you keep repeating what continues to hurt you, and that life's beauty only reveals itself when you treat yourself with the same respect you expect from others. Write this in the comments. Today, I choose to take care of myself, because the world changes when you change the way you treat yourself, and everything that is well cared for, sooner or later, blooms. Lesson 3. Master the power of starting over, no matter what stage of life you're in. There are moments when the past feels like a weight tied to your feet. You want to move forward, but something keeps pulling you back, a mistake, a loss, a decision that now feels like the wrong one. Without even realizing it, you begin living as if you are reliving the same day, over and over again, trying to rewrite what has already happened. But when regret is constantly fed, it stops being a lesson and becomes a prison. It convinces you that what happened yesterday still has power over what comes next, and what was meant to become wisdom turns into chains. The Stoics saw this as the wisdom of the present moment, the ability to separate the past from the present, to understand that what has already happened belongs to memory, not to this moment. To them, being wise did not mean erasing the past, it meant refusing to live in it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not live as though you had 10,000 years ahead of you. Life is slipping away, and the present moment is all you truly have." He understood that the past is not a place to live. It is a teacher that gives its lesson and then moves on. You can be grateful for the lessons, but you should never build your home among the ruins. Regret makes you look backward with pain, but wisdom teaches you to look forward with clarity. And the difference between the two is the decision to move on from where you are, not from where you wish you were. Look around you. How many times have you stopped yourself from starting over because you were still punishing yourself for something you did or something you failed to do? How many opportunities have slipped away because you were too busy replaying what can no longer be changed? It is like trying to unlock a door that time itself has already sealed shut. The past may explain who you were, but it will never determine who you can become. You do not have to deny what you felt. Feeling is part of being human. But you must refuse to turn your pain into a permanent address. Traumas and mistakes are not your destiny. They are chapters. And every new sunrise is an invitation to write the next page with greater awareness. Honoring the past does not mean repeating it. It means rising above it. It means allowing what happened to make you stronger instead of allowing it to define you. Because every time you choose to live in the present, the past loses another piece of its power to hurt you. There is no greater freedom than accepting that what happened, happened. True power is found in looking ahead without being afraid to begin again. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, "I move forward from where I am, not from where I was wounded." Because time never comes back, but life begins again every single time you choose to be fully present, in the only place where the future truly begins, the present moment. Lesson 4. You're suffering over something that doesn't even exist yet. We all know this feeling. Something happens, a mistake, a message, a look, and suddenly your mind starts racing. Within seconds, a simple thought turns into a storm. Your heart speeds up, your body reacts, and you're no longer in the present. You're trapped in an imagined future, built from old fears and unresolved stories. This is catastrophic thinking, that invisible movie your brain projects to protect you, but that ends up paralyzing you instead. It takes a memory, mixes it with a doubt, adds the fear of failure, and creates a convincing fiction, so convincing that you begin to believe it's reality. Your brain does this because it's trying to conserve energy. It creates repeated mental pathways, shortcuts. The more often you travel those pathways, the stronger they become. And before long, a thought becomes a habit. The habit becomes a belief. And the belief becomes a lens through which you begin to see everything. But that mental pattern does not determine the truth. It can distort courage into fear, possibility into doubt, and uncertainty into danger. You are the one who decides whether to question it or obey it. And this is where the power of Stoic self-control comes in, the ability to observe your mind without becoming your mind. Epictetus said, "The only thing you truly control is your own mind." And that gives you all the power you need, because your mind is the source of all your actions and perceptions. Turning off catastrophic thinking doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means seeing it in the right proportion. It means recognizing that fear exists, but it doesn't have to be in charge. That anxiety has a voice, but it doesn't get to give the orders. And that the control you've been searching for was never out in the world. It has always been within you. The next time a problem appears, before you react, take a breath. Ask yourself, is what I'm experiencing real, or is fear speaking for me? That pause is the moment when chaos begins to dissolve and reason takes back the wheel. Catastrophic thinking is like an electrical storm, intense, loud, but temporary. And when you learn to wait in silence, you realize that the thunder was never the real danger. It was only the echo of your own thoughts. The sentence you need to repeat whenever that feeling appears is this: today, I choose calm over chaos. Because true mental strength is not about controlling the world, it's about refusing to let the world control what happens inside you. Lesson 5. Until you master yourself, anything can master you. Nothing grows where the mind is unstable. Every real transformation begins when you learn to lead yourself, when you stop being a slave to your impulses and become the strategist behind your own actions. Self-control is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Because wanting to change is easy. The hard part is staying steady after the excitement fades, when things take longer than expected, when no one applauds you, when it feels like the world doesn't even notice you. It is in that quiet crossing, where your mind tries to sabotage you and your heart begs you to stop, that self-control reveals itself as a virtue. The Stoics called this rational strength, the ability to act according to reason instead of the emotion of the moment. Epictetus said, "No man is free unless he has mastered himself." And mastering yourself is the first step toward achieving anything else. Self-control is the foundation of consistency. Without it, you build castles of enthusiasm that collapse with the very first opposing wind. Without self-control, you spend your life reacting. You promise to change, then give up at the first obstacle. You make plans, then abandon them when the results don't arrive as quickly as you expected. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you don't stay focused long enough for the seeds you planted to bloom. And this is where self-control steps in, not as repression, but as direction. Think about an archer. They don't release the arrow on impulse. They wait for the right moment, adjust their aim, and hold their posture. It is their composure, not their strength, that makes the shot accurate. The same is true for you. Self-control is what turns movement into direction and effort into results. Controlling yourself doesn't mean silencing your emotions. It means listening to them without surrendering to them. It means recognizing anger and turning it into constructive action, fear into caution, and anxiety into focus. Someone who masters their emotions doesn't erase them. They simply put them in their proper place. Because emotion is like fire. When controlled, it gives light. When left unchecked, it consumes. Every time you choose to act with intention, you create a new identity, the identity of someone who is in command. And the more often you make that choice, the more your mind learns that it can trust you. And when your mind trusts you, your body follows, your focus remains steady, and your progress becomes inevitable. Self-control is not rigidity, it is maturity. It is understanding that impulse satisfies today, but discipline builds tomorrow. And every time you choose tomorrow over today, life rewards you with something the present moment alone could never give you: clarity. So the next time you feel like giving up, reacting without thinking, or slipping back into your old patterns, stop and breathe. Remember everything you've already overcome because you chose not to act on impulse. Remember how many times silence protected you and patience placed you exactly where you needed to be. Success doesn't belong to the people who do the most. It belongs to those who stay on the right path the longest. The world belongs to those who know how to wait, observe, and act at the right moment. Write this in the comments. Today, I train my self-control. Because self-control is not about holding yourself back. It's about building yourself. And the person who masters themselves has the power to transform every part of their life. Lesson 6. Nothing changes until you change from within. The only person who can change your life is you. Think about all the people who love you, who believe in you, who genuinely want to see you thrive. They can give you advice, they can support you, they can inspire you, but none of them can walk with your legs. They can give you strength, but they cannot take the step for you. They can believe in you, but they cannot convince you if you still doubt yourself. And this is where most people stumble. They spend their lives waiting for something on the outside to fix what can only be changed on the inside. They wait for the right moment, the right job, the right partner, the right encouragement. But what transforms you is not the situation, it is the inner state of the person moving through it. Every real transformation begins in the invisible, in what you think, say, and feel when no one else is around. Real change begins with the way you speak to yourself, because that inner voice is either the one that lifts you up or tears you down, the one that pushes you forward or quietly holds you back. Think about how many times you stopped yourself from trying because your own mind whispered, "What if I fail?" How many dreams have you cancelled before they even had a chance to begin, simply because you believed the most pessimistic version of your inner voice? And the remarkable part is that most of the time, it was never failure that stopped you. It was the fear of failure, created by your own thoughts. You can have the best plan, the best advice, the best intentions, but if your mind is not working with you, everything begins to fall apart. That is why so many intelligent, talented, and kind people stay stuck in the same place. They never learned how to master their inner dialogue. That voice is incredibly powerful. It can be the echo of fear, telling you that you are not enough, or it can be the flame of courage, reminding you that you have already overcome things far harder than this. What determines who you become is which of those voices you choose to strengthen every single day. The Stoics called this the rational center of the soul, the part of us that thinks, chooses, and guides everything else. They believed that freedom begins the moment you learn to govern your own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And that is exactly what happens. You become the tone of the words you repeat to yourself every day. The person who keeps saying, "I can't do this," grows weaker. The person who says, "I'm still learning," keeps growing, because every sentence you direct toward yourself is another brick, either building your strength or building the walls that keep you trapped. So pay attention to what you say to yourself. When something goes wrong, do not repeat, "I knew I was going to fail." Instead say, "Now I know how to do it better." When fear shows up, do not say, "I'm not capable." Say, "I'm still learning." And if exhaustion comes, do not say, "I'm completely drained, I have nothing left." Say, "I need to take care of myself so I can keep going." That simple shift is what separates the people who give up from the people who grow, because it is not the world that makes you stronger, it is the conversation you have with it. And that conversation begins within, in the way you interpret your own life. When you change the tone of your inner dialogue, what was once doubt becomes momentum, and what once seemed impossible becomes the next natural step. Inner strength begins the moment you decide to treat yourself like someone who deserves to grow, to learn, and to succeed. And the most beautiful part is realizing that when that strength awakens, life around you begins to respond. No one can live your life for you. But the moment you choose to become your own greatest ally, the impossible begins to move, and what once felt far away becomes simply the next step for someone who has finally understood this truth. The change you have been searching for out there begins within you. Lesson 7. Never let fear make your decisions again. Insecurity always begins in the mind. Before it ever exists in the outside world, it is a story your mind keeps repeating until you accept it as if it were true. And your body believes it too. Your heart starts racing, your breathing becomes shallow, your body freezes. It feels like being pulled under by a wave that seems to come from the outside, when in reality it was born within. Facing fear is one of the bravest things you will ever do, because it often forces you to confront the experiences that taught your mind to expect danger. And the strange part is that when you revisit that memory, the pain does not come back weaker, it comes back just as strong, sometimes even more vivid. That is why we avoid it. But the cost of running away is high. The person who avoids fear eventually begins living under its command. Every time you act from insecurity, your past is making decisions for your present. If you were rejected once, the fear of being rejected again begins writing the script for your life. If a business failed, you begin believing that you were never meant to take risks. If someone betrayed you, you begin questioning even the people with the best intentions. But fear is not reality. It is simply a memory that has learned to disguise itself as protection. It does not appear to destroy you. It appears to test whether you still believe you are the person you used to be, or whether you are ready to become someone new. The Stoics called this the rule of reason over the passions, the ability to recognize fear without kneeling before it. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." And that is exactly what fear does. It multiplies imaginary suffering and makes you live through defeats that never actually happened. Fear will always exist, but the moment you face it, it loses the power to make your decisions. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward in spite of it. So the next time fear appears, do not fight it. Look at it with curiosity. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of losing? Most of the time, the answer will be nothing more than an older version of yourself, and that is the version that needs to be left behind. Facing your fears is how you set your strength free, because behind every fear you overcome, there is a life that has been waiting for you. Choose to live that life today. Choose to act even while you are afraid, because fear is a natural emotion, but remaining trapped by it is a choice, and the person who has the courage to walk through fear begins living on the other side, where freedom truly begins. Lesson 8. Memento mori. When you remember death, you learn how to live. This is one of the greatest paradoxes of the human mind. We all know we are going to die, yet very few of us actually live with that awareness. Death is humanity's oldest certainty, and yet it remains the truth we forget most often. We live as if we have unlimited time, putting off conversations, dreams, forgiveness, and new beginnings. But time never warns us when it is about to run out. It simply keeps moving, and those who forget that end up living only half a life. The Stoics called this reminder memento mori, remember that you will die. These words were engraved on temples, rings, and statues, not as a threat, but as an invitation to clarity, a reminder not to waste life on distractions, vanity, or small fears. While writing Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He understood that remembering death is, paradoxically, the most powerful way to truly live. Because when you remember that time is finite, the present moment gains depth. Every gesture, every word, every breath begins to carry intention and meaning. Awareness of death does not bring despair. It brings clarity. It teaches you to choose what truly matters, to let go of what does not, and to value what is within your reach right now. You begin to realize that what truly holds value has never been what you accumulate, but what you experience. Think about this. If today were your last day, what would you stop putting off? Who would you forgive? What would you finally have the courage to begin? Those answers reveal what truly matters, and that is where life truly begins. The Stoics did not fear death because they learned to make peace with it. They understood that life is not measured by the number of years you live, but by the depth with which you are present. And while dying one day is inevitable, dying without ever truly living is a choice. So remember this, you are going to die. But until that day comes, you have the power to live like someone who understands the value of every single moment. And perhaps that is true freedom, not escaping death, but living in such a way that it cannot take away anything essential. Write this in the comments. Memento mori. Because those who live remembering that they will die discover the deepest secret of the Stoics, to live without fear and to die without regret. Lesson 9. Use every ounce of strength within you. Imagine an armory filled with tools, strength, and wisdom, but with its doors locked. Outside, someone is struggling, exhausted, convinced they have nothing to defend themselves with. That person is you. Every time you forget the power you already carry within. You have resources, talent, intelligence, and resilience, yet so often you live as though none of it exists. You search for answers in the outside world, while the keys have been in your own hands all along. And while you keep looking outward, everything you need within remains asleep. The Stoics discovered this truth more than 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That single sentence is a reminder that the force shaping your life does not come from the outside. It comes from the way you respond to whatever happens. Circumstances change, crises come and go, but your capacity remains intact, unshaken, waiting to be used. It lives in every clear decision, in every moment you choose not to lose yourself, in every time you get back up when everything tells you to quit. When you awaken to that power, fear begins to lose its grip, and doubt loses its voice. You begin to live with greater focus, greater direction, and greater presence, because you finally understand that you do not need the world to become orderly before you act. You only need to bring order to your own mind. Think about it. Everything you have overcome required something that already existed within you. Support may have come from the outside, but the courage to respond came from within. It came from your clarity, your courage, and your ability to adapt. And if you have done it before, you can do it again. Life will continue to test you, but now you know where to find your weapons, within yourself. Your potential is not a promise for the future. It is a power that is available right now, but it only reveals itself when you choose to use it. Write this in the comments. Everything I need, I already have. Do not write it just for the sake of writing it. Declare those words. Believe them. Because your strength does not need to be created, it only needs to be awakened. And when you learn to use everything you are capable of, the impossible stops being a limit and becomes nothing more than your next step. 10. The less you seek recognition, the more respect you earn. There is a quiet kind of power in silence. While many people waste their energy announcing their plans, those who are truly committed to growth learn to change quietly, steadily, consistently, like a seed breaking through the soil in darkness, yet carrying enough power to become an entire forest. We live in a noisy world. Everything has to be shared: progress, pain, daily routines, even things that have not happened yet. We show people how we feel, what we want, what we plan to do, and little by little we become dependent on other people's approval to keep believing in ourselves. But the more you talk about what you are going to do, the less energy you have left to actually do it. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of direction, it is focus, it is a way of protecting something sacred, your process. The first lesson of silent transformation is simple yet powerful. Stop seeking external validation. The need for approval is one of the greatest thieves of energy. When you share your plans before taking action, you hand over control of your motivation to other people's opinions. If they praise you, you experience a false sense of accomplishment, as if you had already succeeded. If they criticize you, you lose momentum before you even take the first step. Silence breaks that cycle. It gives you back your independence, your focus, and your inner strength. You stop acting to be seen and start acting because you understand the value of what you're building. The Stoics called this the self-sufficiency of the soul, the ability to stay on your own path without needing applause. The second lesson is this: protect yourself from unnecessary opinions. Not every piece of advice is wisdom, and not every criticism is truth. Some people, out of love, try to protect you, but end up limiting you. Others, out of fear, project onto you the dreams they abandoned and the disappointments they still carry. If you open your doors too wide, outside voices will invade the space where your conviction should live. Silence is the shield of those who are determined. It protects your purpose from noise, comparison, and doubt, the very things that weaken your faith in yourself. Instead of wasting energy explaining yourself, you begin using that energy to take action. And that leads to the third lesson. Let your actions surprise people, not your words. Promises do not transform lives. Actions do. Do not say you are going to change. Do not say you are going to start. Do not say you are trying. Keep going, quietly, until your progress becomes impossible to ignore. Quiet discipline creates a strength that needs no words. When you show up with results, people notice. They see it in your eyes, in your posture, in the calm confidence of someone who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. But the most important transformation happens within you. The noise of doubt gives way to the calm of conviction. Hurry becomes patience, and the need for validation becomes purpose. Because when you change in silence, the world does not need to applaud you. It simply recognizes you. Results speak the language of truth, and silence is the stage where that truth echoes most powerfully. It is in that quiet place that transformation matures, focus becomes unshakable, and your true growth begins.